Alright, we are back. Yes, that's what I'm using. Anyway, where were we? It made me upload the video, so I lost my train of thought. So, alright, there's a second for one of the features. First, I'm going to recap on what I did. We went over that you need a game server. We went over that you need a web server for this to work and Python installed. We went over the file path for the web files, so I'll just give you a rough overview. So you need to make sure that you replace all the URLs, that all the URLs match. So I just used the replace all feature, problem solved. It's going to look like this at first. Depending on what you do or how you use it, it will be, that's what it's going to be out of the box. And I just changed it to, what I'm going to use. So there's another feature to set the server owner in his scripts so that you can toggle on the item saving feature that I haven't really used or tested, but apparently it's there. So you will need your GUID, and you'll have to set it here. It's going to be zeros, so you'll just search, like in his thread it says there's about 6 or 7 zeros, so just give that a search until you find line 155. Oh, line 1557, and you'll just how do you get your GUID? Well, you join your server and then look in the logs, and it'll show you your unique ID for who you are as a player with a serial number. So, after that, if everything's okay, if everything's set, make sure you set your password, check. Set your GUID and make sure to verify your URL structure. Next is the fun stuff, compiling. So remember I said I didn't really feel like setting an environment variable, so I just copied Python to my game folder, or my folder where the Python files are. You will run the compiler. You're going to have these errors are not really, clean coding would be go back and fix, these, but they don't affect it at all. It's just letting you know that you have some variables that were never used. He already said that those errors were there. They're superficial. Next will be to use an FTP program, or however you like. I use Linux, so I connect to my server with a WinSCP. So here's where my game files are. Just looks like, typical warband file structure. You'll go to PW, modules, and you always want, I've run into some errors in the past. If you have 2 different compiled versions of PW files, one time I had the server changing map randomly on its own, you can run into some errors. So it's always suggested that you overwrite all the module files, which I'm not going to do because I don't want to mess everything up on here, but you'll just copy, overwrite them, and then make sure to set up your scenes. Maybe if you have your scene stashed, you would rename before you copy them, rename this one the scenes backup or something, so that you could easily get those scene codes back. So what you need to do next, before you fire up the server, is go to strings, go down around the bottom where the name server fields are. Now he gutted this out and changed how it works completely. But for string name server, you want to have the URL path that connects to your checkplayer.php. So make sure that this points to checkplayer.php, and as long as you know your password, your MD5 password in the database is the same as the password that you typed in plain text in at line 4422 in scripts.py, module scripts.py to be exact. This just needs to point in the right direction. I wouldn't mess with anything else. Alright, we're good. So, if everything is working, it should fire up and work. I'm not going to run the game right now because I know it'll work, and you'll know it'll work, or hopefully. But when you join the server, you should see a welcome message, you know, saying welcome to our server. You know, if you don't see that, then something's wrong. So if you don't see the welcome message when you join the server, and after everything's fired up, it's either your path to the web files is not correct. You have to double check that, or your password is incorrect. And if your password is incorrect, then you're not going to see the welcome message either. So, you know, make sure to double check all that stuff and verify that, you know, the file paths indeed are correct, exactly like in the module files. You want to make sure to test those links in your browser, see what they do, you know, that they're correct. Make sure it's always safe. You want to use like an htaccess file. I haven't written one right now for myself because, you know, I don't really need top security on a dead server. But you would use like an htaccess file in your web directory to only allow connections from the server and yourself. There's different methods to make it so only an IP will go through, because you need the server to be able to see these files without needing to type in a password if you want to secure the directory. But there's different htaccess ways. If you're using Apache, there's different ways to make the htaccess file to where the server can connect to this straight away, and the users would have to type the password. It's just an extra layer of security. I like to make sure people aren't screwing around with my stuff. But that should be it. If you have any questions, reply to this thread, and I'll be happy to give you an answer. But see you later, folks.